Some fresh little nights out of the bay.
Talk about locally sourced, huh?
Yeah, so out of the water about 14 hours ago. So last evening,
14 hours ago.
yeah, freshly harvested, freshly dug, and into the bowl today. So,
Awesome.
Yeah.
So before we get going on all the locally sourced stuff, I want to talk just a little bit about New Rivers, because I've been going to New Rivers
Yeah.
since it was Pat and Bruce Tillinghast a long
Oh yeah,
time
back in the
ago.
day. It started in '90.
Okay.
Bruce, he praised from George and Joanne.
That's right, yeah.
So I started there in 2000 and just kind of never left.
He never left.
And then in '09, I bought the business from Bruce and Pat and been doing it ever since.
So like 17 years at your home now.
Yeah, so it's been 17 years. So I've been very, very happy there, very fortunate there, and
Your beautiful wife is in the business with you.
Yes, yeah, she's my co-owner. She applied for a job in the kitchen back in the day, cooking.
Really?
I hired her, and then fell in love with her and married her, and here we are today. So
Oh, that's an awesome story. That's
Yeah.
a great story.
Yeah.
So New Rivers is a fantastic destination, and we'll get a little more into it about actual restaurant and
Right.
such. But one of the big questions is first, you know I'm a wino. What did you bring?
I
here?
brought you some
What
local
is-
beer because
What is this?
I know
All right,
you're
this
a
is going to
wine
be an
guy.
amazing feat. You're all going to see me
you're a
drinking
wine
beer.
guy. This is our friend Sean Larkin's beer,
Awesome.
Revival
Revival,
Brewing.
yeah.
And nice pale ale, very, very light, very good spring summer beer, very drinkable. So cheers.
Cheers.
All right,
Awesome.
yeah.
There we go. It's really
So
good. It's really good.
So good. Yeah.
All right, so those of you that know me that are out there, yes, I am drinking
You're
a
the
beer.
wine guy,
Yes,
I
it is
know,
really
but-
good.
yeah.
This is awesome. Thank
Yeah.
you, Beau. I appreciate that.
Of course.
So, Chef,
Yes.
locally sourced. It's been this thing that you hear about for a long time now.
Yes.
All right, everybody's been out there talking about it.
Yes.
I think some of it has been more talk than actual people following through on it.
Of course.
And the guests that I have today, you being which I have not seen that to be the case. I mean, I was again looking at the menu yesterday, and
Yeah.
I was in a couple weeks ago, had dessert, and then there was a Rhode Island fluke that I think I had.
Yep,
Is that right?
Yep. So we source everything locally if possible. This started off with Bruce Tillinghast. He was my mentor. He was doing this back in the day,
He's a great guy.
in the '90s, before it was kind of fashionable. He always kind of thought it just made sense. If the food's being produced locally, then why not just serve that food, you know?
Right.
Seasonality is very important to us, so we don't serve strawberries in February. It's just in June. And it keeps that like fiscal dollars in the community as
Right,
well.
right. So you're supporting the local community at the same time that
Exactly.
you're using the local produce.
Exactly.
So knowing that Bruce had it, and you kind of transitioned into it, and you made some, nice changes to the restaurant to kind of
Yeah.
get it bigger and moving and stuff.
Right.
Was it perceived differently from the guests and the clientele coming in?
There's always folks who are like, "Oh, it's different now," but our mission has always been the same: serve local food simply. There's no foams. There's no fancy, sciencey kind of food there. It's just simple food. We kind of felt that we've retained all of our guests and just kind of kept like Bruce's vision alive. So it's kind of like it's Bruce's vision that we've just kind of like carried on with.
See, I've heard, in my background, I'm a big tourism person, obviously going out to the restaurants a lot. I've heard from the tourists that they love this, from the people who are coming in for the conventions and meetings, that they
Yeah.
love the fact of going to restaurants like yours, and
Yeah.
they find that there's locally sourced items, because it gives them something new to try that they're not
Right.
going to be able to try somewhere else.
Exactly.
So-
It's very reflective of, our fluke fish, like you mentioned. Our friend Steve Arnold is a fisherman, Dabo fisherman. Sends me a text, from his boat saying, "I just landed fluke and monkfish."
You're
And
kidding me, right from the boat.
yeah, so it's like it's that fresh, So it's one of those things that we've really found joy in, sort of like supporting him, supporting folks like him who are doing things the right way.
So you mentioned him. How do you find the purveyors that you're getting out to? I know that you said this is 14 hours old.
Yeah.
Is it a task to go out and source these purveyors?
It is. A lot of times they'll seek us out, but there's a lot of legwork on our end too, as far as finding different small farms, finding people who we want to support. We love Four Town Farm over in Seekonk.
Okay.
They do stuff from about May until December.
Right.
So it's a matter of finding folks that you like, finding folks who are supplying you with stuff that fits your menu, and keeping those sort of things going. Yeah.
So there's got to be seasonality that comes into play.
Yes.
Obviously. So to the purveyors, in my mind, and I'm trying to think about it, I have a garden that I grow at home that by no means makes me this great local purveyor.
Right.
But in my mind, there's got to be certain things that the season come to. Are there purveyors that are trying to cover all four seasons in different manners?
There's not really farmers who are doing all four seasons, but there are farmers who are trying to extend season. So you'll see things in greenhouses in the wintertime, which do extend their season, which is great. It allows us to get stuff in December that 5-6 years ago you really couldn't
have it.
Yeah, so we're getting like fresh greens all through the wintertime because farmers have become really, really creative in finding ways to maximize their growing season.
And it seems like their creativity has come about because of the fact of folks like yourself that can
Of course,
keep them
there's
in
an
business.
outlet for it.
Right.
Yeah,
Right.
kind of farmers markets are huge now, and there's much more of a food sort of savviness in the city of Providence these days, as far as folks knowing what seasonality is,
Yeah.
as far as folks knowing what ingredients are, seeking them out. So it's been.
So give me some examples for the out there to talk about. So I mentioned the flute because it was something I had and it was absolutely, I'm a
thank
seafood
you so
person,
much.
so it was absolutely
Yeah.
delicious.
Thank you.
And I got to be honest, we'll talk a little bit about New River's layout and everything, but the bar at New River's is unbelievable. You have a great bartender that
Oh, thank you
honestly
so
does the
much.
same thing.
Yeah.
The layout is so comfortable and it's great to have conversations and talk to people. But tell us about some of the other things that you get that are locally sourced that aren't there.
I mean, right now, one of the things all the chefs are like really looking forward to is the first asparagus, and that comes in May, and that's at Four Town Farm and Shartner Farms as well.
My favorite vegetable.
And after a long winter in New England, all the chefs want is something fresh and green.
Right.
So asparagus is that first sort of really seasonal, very, very springtimey sort of ingredient that we all are just kind of like.
And that comes out of May. So.
Yes.
Okay.
So it's just kind of like, it's this winter countdown, so to speak, where it's like, when's the asparagus going to be ready? And as far as other stuff goes, like strawberries are in June, tomatoes in August, sweet corn, summertime. So it's kind of like there's certain foods for each season that like all chefs look forward to.
So I noticed the last couple times that I've been in is that you have your regular menu.
Yeah.
And then you have a card that has like new options for the evening or specials
Yeah.
that you're running and
Yeah.
such. So knowing that you can locally source these things, and you mentioned asparagus, I make asparagus everything you could imagine.
Right.
I have to presume that gives you that creativity to do the same thing when you have the locally sources to change up.
It does. Some farmers could say to you, I've got 5 pounds of this, so we'll just special it, So it's like small batch stuff, special stuff. There are certain farmers who are growing things in very small quantities for us that are just like very labor intensive for them. So it's just kind of, it's like a one-off for us. So it's kind of like, we'll special it,
I gotcha.
and it's kind of like a very, very seasonal, a very unique and sort of a small batch kind of thing.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, I'm sure we'll talk a little more about source, but let's talk about New Rivers as a whole.
Yeah.
So how many guests does New Rivers seat?
58 seats,
58 seats,
including the bar.
including the bar.
And that's tight.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it's like the 58 seats that are like really kind of crammed in there.
So to me, I say cozy. So
Yes,
I noticed,
yes,
both
very
times.
intimate.
Yeah. So I've noticed
Yeah.
both times I've been in, it's either been groups of people hanging out, or a lot of couples.
Yep.
A lot of couples that are coming into, even at the bar. I noticed.
Yep.
So it's 2 dining rooms, right?
Yep,
Okay. So you get the 2 dining rooms, the bar, and the atmosphere is a little different in each dining room, right?
yep. So in the old space, so to speak, downstairs,
Right.
it's the old forest green walls, the old New Rivers. And in 2009, we expanded east of the building.
Going towards the hill.
Yep, and built that bar room.
Yep.
So that's much more of a lively, kind of like higher ceilings, more open sort of feel space to it. But I feel like there's definitely 2 unique vibes, but they sort of work together because if you want to have a nice, quiet evening, then you go to the green room. But if you want to be with the people very lively, then you go to the bar room. So it's kind of like there's those both options.
But yeah, it gives people that choice,
Yeah.
which is fantastic. I think it's great. And both
Yeah.
times I've been there, I wanted to be in all of them. So it's been awesome. So going to the menu again from the locally sourced items,
Mhm.
is there certain things that you as a chef
Yeah.
in particular look forward to that you enjoy working with the making?
Honey asparagus for me in the springtime that's it. Fava beans, sweet peas in the springtime. I mean, all chefs after a winter of using like cellared vegetables and sort of like braising greens,
Yeah.
they want that fresh springtime. Fiddlehead ferns, fava beans, asparagus, artichokes, little baby
Artichokes.
vegetables, So like the springtime is one of those things where it's like all chefs really look forward to it.
And then from the seafood perspective, is that kind of year round or is that still seasonal?
It's
too?
seasonal. I mean, for us, we look forward to summertime for striped bass. That's my all-time favorite fish. Local striped bass is really hard to get, but it's seasonal and it's so versatile.
Where does the striped bass come from?
And off the coast, it's right here locally. So it's like, so there's this migratory pattern up the East Coast, up through Maryland, up past us, up to Maine, and then they come back down.
Wow.
So like there's two kind of like mini seasons. There's like an early summer season, and then there's this sort of September-y kind of season as well.
So see, that's, to me, is unbelievable, because these are things that are out there that are locally sourced that you don't even know that you can get,
Yep.
that you can have. And then one of the things that I was really happy about noticing when I went into New Rivers the last few times is that the staff.
Yeah.
So, I was talking to, the other day, Dan from Duck and Bunny, and he was
Yeah.
mentioning to me, not only is the fact that our menus and the things we're doing is locally sourced, but there's another perspective to it about locally sourcing your staff.
Oh yeah,
You
and
know?
our staff's been there for. I mean, there's like 8-year employees. They're so loyal. They're so wonderful. I have 3 kids now, so it's definitely helped us to have.
I know that feeling.
So it definitely helps us to have a staff who can like jump in, who knows the guests, who knows their preferences, who knows how to run the business, and allows us to sort of back off a little bit.
Right. Gives you some time that you can actually spend with
Yes,
the
we
children
have,
and know that the business is in good hands.
Yeah,
Right.
so two twin boys that are 8 months old. So
Congratulations.
thank you so much. Yeah, it's been an adventure, but definitely our staff helps us sort of.
So those are 2 boys and a girl?
Yeah.
So I feel your pain.
Yep.
I've got 3 boys and a girl.
Wow.
So I completely feel your
Yeah.
pain. No offense, guys. So your staff also, one of the things I want to throw out as a compliment is that they know the menu.
Of
They know
course.
the fact that you're locally sourced. They
course.
know how to talk about it.
Yep.
When I've sat at the bar and I looked at it and said Rhode Island Fluke, he's like, yeah, and he went into a story about it and talked about it. So
Right.
that's a big compliment to you that
We
your
take a
staff
lot
is
of training on that. Yeah, yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
That's awesome. So, overall, because I ask this from every chef that comes
Yep.
up, is there a dish that's your favorite, not cooking, but a dish that's your favorite that you have on the menu?
Let's see. And I think our fluke dish right now, it really signifies the restaurant. It's seafood, and like we love seafood. It's locally sourced. It's simply made. There's not too many bells and whistles on it. So I think just a fish dish like that really kind of speaks volumes of the restaurant.
After tasting it, I have to agree
Yeah, thank you
because
so much.
it was amazing. You need to go taste it. Whether you're sitting at the bar or you're in the restaurant, will that be? How long will that stay on the menu?
Probably for another like 2 weeks or so.
Okay.
It's winding down.
So you hear that? You got to get in there. 2 weeks.
Soon,
Get to New
yeah,
Rivers
soon,
and try it.
yeah.
So last thing for you.
Mm-hmm.
Any big things, like other than the seasonality of stuff coming up, any new things that you and your wife are looking at? I mean, having the family's enough, I understand, but
Right.
any new things with New Rivers on the horizon?
We're always looking around for like new spaces for other concepts and stuff, but we're sort of like hitting the pause button on that because the family and
Yeah,
stuff.
yeah.
But
But it is something you guys would consider.
Yeah.
Going into another space.
and we used to serve lunch, and we kind of stopped it because of the family. But we're thinking about bringing it back. There's been a huge demand for it again, so like we're thinking like midsummer.
So you come back and open lunch for midsummer.
Yeah.
Oh, there you go. Oh,
Yeah.
especially all you East Siders and the tourists coming into town.
Yeah,
Go back
so
up onto the east side.
that's
and
the big
cross over.
news,
That's
yeah,
awesome.
lunchtime, yeah.
How many days a week would you do it? How many
5
would you
days.
say? Really?
Yeah, just weekdays.
That's awesome.
Yeah, so-
That's a great thing because everybody's always looking for that.
Yeah.
And from the perspective is that you've been, like we said, whether it was owning or now, starting as a chef and then being there 17 years. So your perspective of the fact that you have an interest in continuing to have another restaurant in
Yeah.
Providence is a big deal.
Yeah.
It's a great city and
Well,
we've
thank
come
you
a
so
long
much.
way.
Yeah.
We've
Yeah, it's
come a long
great.
way. Well, congratulations. I really appreciate you coming in.
All right.
I appreciate you having me drink beer.
Of
and
course,
I am going
cheers
to finish
to you
this
again.
beer, so
Yeah.
Thank you, Chef.
We'll see you soon.
Thank you so much.
Thanks,